so much. Okay, good evening all, and this is the second part of the series which we have started to deliver the free training related to the Lean Six Sigma. And the second part is dealing with the very practical tools and approach which we are regularly using, and that's a correlation and regression. Before to start, let me give you my very short introduction. Myself, Vijay Sabe, and I am the founder and CEO of Learn and Apply. I am ASQ certified and recertified Six Sigma Black Belts, and from the 2013 to active. And before that also, I was working in this environment more than 5 years. This is my certification number. By identification, I have completed my BE Mechanical, and I have completed my MBA in Operations as well as Industrial Management. I have worked with many multinational companies in India, China, Hungary, the Netherlands, and the USA as a trainer, practitioner, and mentor. So the role I was taking was a Global Continuous Improvement Manager. I have executed and mentored over 100 number of projects combined as a green belt and black belts. I had also worked as a continuous improvement manager to improve the processes of vendors and suppliers across the India. So this is my just short introduction. And without spending too much of time on introduction and all that, let's start with the main topic, that's a correlation and regression. Before to start this important concept, correlation regression, we must know very simple topic, that's a scatter diagram. This is very much important. Let's understand what is scatter diagram first. The scatter diagram is one of the 7 basic quality control tools which is used nowadays in every type of industries. The scatter diagram graphs pairs of numerical data with one variable on each axis to look for a relationship between them. So this is a diagram which shows a relationship between two variables with one variable on each of the axes. So we can say there is one variable on x-axis and one variable on y-axis. And we are looking for a relationship between these two variables. What kind of relationship is present between these two variables? How to do that, we are going to see with the help of practical examples, so it will be very clear to you. If the variables are correlated, the points will fall along the line or curve. The better the correlation, the tighter the points will hug the line. So depending on the scatter of this point around the line, we can say whether these two factors or two variables are related to with each other or not. It is also called as a XY graph, correlation chart, as well as the scatter diagram or scatter plot. So it is having multiple names, but meaning is one and same. When you are referring that scatter plot, XY graph, correlation chart, or scatter diagram, it is nothing but the scatter diagram. Let's understand in more details of it. What are the degrees of correlation are available? So how we can say these two factors are correlated or two variables are correlated with each other or not. So if the trend of the scatter plot is like that, you can see the first diagram, all the points are scattered from each other. Okay. So in this case, we can say there is a no correlation between these two variables. If these points are coming close to each other, so we can say there is a low correlation present between these two variables. And if the distance is going smaller and smaller between this scatter of the points, so we can say the points are coming closer to each other. So we can say the two variables for which we are looking for the relationship, they are having the correlation. If the line is perfectly straight, then we can say in this case, we will be having the perfect correlation between two factors. So we can say there is a perfect increasing level of the one factor after increasing level of the other factor. So this is the just degrees of correlation. So in simple words, we can see as these points coming closer to each other, so we can say that there is a perfect correlation present between these points or these variables. Similarly, let's try to understand okay. Now let's try to understand what are the types of correlation are there. So if you see the trend between the two variables, when we can see whether they are correlated, and if they are correlated, what kind of correlation between them is present or not. So let's say we have seen there are 4 degrees of correlation possible: none, low, high, and perfect. depending on how much scatter between these points. Now types of correlation, again there are 4 types of correlation. If there is increase in one level of the factor after increasing level of the other level of factor, so we can say that there is a positive correlation. That means if you increase the one variable, the value of another variable is also going to increase. That's a positive correlation. If you increase the other variable, the value of the another variable is going to be reduced. So in that case, we are going to say that there is a negative correlation present between these two terms. In some times, we can see there is a mixed relationship is available. What is meant by that? So up to some point, we can see after increasing level of one factor, there will be the corresponding increasing other factor. But after some time, there is if you increase the one level of factor after that point, then there is a corresponding decrease in that level of the another factor. So in that case, we can see there is a curved relationship between two variables is present. In some variables, we can see there is a partial correlation is present. So we can see up to some extent there is a perfect correlation or there is a correlation is there. And after that, there is a no correlation. So this kind of correlation is called as a partial correlation. So this is just a graphical representation of the points or the data points from which we can say whether the 2 points are variable, whether the two variables are correlated or not. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now the next point is that as we are going to see that there is a corresponding increase in one factor level, there is an increase in another factor level, and they are correlated. But even if the scatter diagram shows a relationship, we had seen that if by looking at the scatter of the two variables, we can say that whether the two factors are correlated or not. But even if the scatter diagram shows a relationship, do not assume that one variable caused by the other. Both may be influenced by the third variable. So what is meant by that? We are going to see with the help of examples, so it will be clear. This is the very important scatter diagram considerations. That's why when you are using this tool, scatter diagram, you must have some process background or some knowledge related to the process or variables for which relationship you are going to be studying. Now think creatively about how to use this scatter diagram to discover the root cause. Again, this is a very important tool which is used to identify the root cause. Means that we are going to check what is our response and with respect to that, if any cause is affecting that response or not. So this can be treated or this can be identified drawing that response with respect to one of the variable. Drawing the scatter diagram is the first step in looking for a relationship between variables. So this is the simplest way. If you want to check the relationship between two variables, then you can directly go for the scatter plot. That's the simple thing. Now, as I have already told to you that just looking at the correlation between the two factors, we cannot say that one factor has caused the other factor. Let's understand with the help of example. Correlation is when two or more things appear to be related with respect to each other. Let's understand that in summer, we can say that there is an increase in ice cream sale, right? Because heat is there, so we are consuming more of the ice creams, and that's why there is an increase in the ice cream sale. At the same time, there is a sunburn rates also increasing because of heat. There will be the much of the cases of sunburn rates. So if we draw these two factors, that's ice cream sales versus sunburn rates, so we can say that these two factors are perfectly correlated with each other, right? So what is mean that ice cream sale and sunburn rates are correlated. But as I already told you that it is not like that. If you see the correlation between two factors, like there is a correlation between ice cream sale and sunburn rates, these two factors are caused by one another. That can be caused by the third variable, and that is a summer, or we can say heat, right? Does this mean eating ice cream increases the risk of sunburn? Absolutely not, right? So in this case, there is another term comes in picture that is called as causation. Okay, so correlation doesn't always mean causation. Causation is a different thing which we are going to see. But at this point of time, just remember that if you are going to see the correlation between two things, you must have some process background or some knowledge about the variables which you are going to be compared. Okay, is it clear? Okay. Now, what is meant by causation? Causation means there is a cause and effect relationship between the variables. For example, when one thing causes another thing, we can see there is a cause and there is a effect. So one thing is causing the another thing, that is called as a causation. So in this example, we can see we are continuously heating this one of the pressure cooker or something like that. Hello? Is there any question? Okay, I think some noise was there. Okay, so if you provide the heat to this, then after that we can say after some point of time there will be appearance of the steam. So why this steam has happened? Because of this heat. So we can see there is a cause and effect relationship between them is present. We are giving the heat and that's why there is a generation of the steam, right? So this is called as a causation. So it is very much important that when you are going to see the relationship between two variables, please understand whether there is a correlation or causation. If there is a correlation is there, try to identify what are the factors which are actually providing causation so that we can have a perfect root cause analysis. Now let's understand what is this term means, correlation. We have seen what is the importance of the scatter plot, how to draw it. How to draw it we'll see later on, but how to read that, how to interpret that, we have seen it. Now let's understand what is correlation mean. The term correlation is a combination of two words. One is a co, we can say there's a co, and another is a relation, right? So that's a correlation. So it indicates together and connection. What is the connection between 2 points? That is called as a correlation between two quantities. So we had also seen that correlation can be the positive or can be the negative. If there is an increase in one factor level after increasing another factor level, then there is a positive correlation. We can see if this is a one factor level, okay. So if we increase this factor level, there is a corresponding increase into this another factor level. So this is called as a positive correlation. Now if you increase the another factor level, let's say if you are increasing x, there is a decrease in the y, right? So as we increases x, there is a decrease in y. So that is called as a negative correlation between the terms. So this is very much important to understand what kind of relationship is present between them. Some noise is coming into the background. Okay, so these are the mainly two types of correlations are present. One is positive and negative, and this will be supporting when we are going to the further tool or further concept that is called as a regression. We'll go into the detail, but before that, let's understand if you are saying that the correlation is explaining that whether the relationship is present between the two variables or not, then how to identify that relationship, right? So there is this formula. And this is called as a correlation coefficient. I think there is some question. Do you have any question, Ajay?
Sir,
or is it okay? We can have all questions at the end of the session. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because whatever the questions you will be asking, that will be maybe covering into the next slides. Okay, that's why I asked these questions, because everything I have put in the sequential manner. Okay, so how to identify the relationship between two variables? Thank you. So for that purpose, we are going to calculate this correlation coefficient. We are going to calculate this correlation coefficient, and that is called as R. How to calculate that? So for that purpose, there is a formula Sxy divided by square root of Sxx into Ssy. If you look at this formula at first sight, it looks very much complicated, but don't worry about it. It's a very simple formula. We are going to see that formula, and so it's very short. And once you see that demonstration, then this fear of this formula will be gone from your mind. So don't worry about it. But before to go into this formula, let's understand what is the simplest method to calculate or to verify that there is a correlation present between two terms or not. Okay. So for that purpose, let's use the Excel, or you can use the advanced statistical softwares like Minitab or Sigma Excel. You can use, but Excel is the very simple and easy software and which is available with everyone. So I'm going to explain how to identify correlation between two variables by using the Excel, right? So let's understand, as this is a webinar, I'm not providing you any type of data, so I'm just having the data with me, and I'm going to explain with the help of Excel how to calculate that by using the formula as well as by using the graphical methods. Okay, so let's start. There is a data collected as the example we had seen earlier. There is a temperature. We can see we had recorded the temperature for 12 days. Okay, so these are the temperature of the day, and on particular day we have recorded how much ice cream sale was there in dollars. Okay, and we want to see whether there is a relationship between these two terms or not. What are that two terms? One is temperature in degrees Celsius of that particular day, and second is ice cream sale of that particular day. And we want to check whether there is a relationship present between two variables or not, right? So how to do that? So for that purpose, very simple formula is available in the Excel, that is called as a correl. This is also called as a correlation. You have to put this formula correl, and then you have to enter the array 1. Array 1 is nothing but the variable 1, and then you can put the array 2. Array 2 is nothing but the variable 2. So how to do that, I will show you in the Excel, so it will be very clear. Can you see this Excel? Okay.
Yes.
Then, how to calculate the correlation between these two terms? Simple. You have to type the formula correl. I make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So I can write the formula correl, C-O-R-R-E-L. So that is indicating correlation. So if you put there, it will be asking what is array 1. Array 1 means what is the variable 1 data. So we can select this variable 1 data. Please remember that we don't need to select this name. Okay. So whatever the data you will be selecting, that will be the only numbers. Okay. We have selected this data. Now just put the comma, and then it will be asking for the array 2. So in that case, we need to select the array 2, complete the bracket and make the enter. Okay. So we will be getting this correlation. Right? What is the correlation between these 2 points? It's a 0.96. Now, if you look at this value is positive. Right? It's a 0.96. That means if there is an increase in the temperature, there is a corresponding increase in the ice cream sale. And that will be having the correlation of 0.96. Now, we are saying that there is a correlation of 0.96. What does that exactly mean? So that we are going to see in detail. So this is the 0.96 which we have calculated from Excel by using this formula correl. That's a correl, array 1 and array 2. Now, if you want to go into the calculation by this correlation coefficient R by using the formula which I have shown to earlier, like this formula, you can also do that. So what is the formula? Sxy divided by square root of Sxx into Ssy. How to calculate that? So we can see that here we are having these x values, we are having these y values. Okay. So before going into the further details, let's understand what is x. X is the input. We are calling x is an input, and y we are calling it as output. Or other words, we can say x is an independent variable and y is a dependent variable. Now, temperature we can see it's a independent variable, and ice cream sale is dependent on the temperature which we want to see. So that is a y. Now, if you calculate the average of all these values, this is called as a x bar. And if you calculate average of all these values, this is called as a y bar. And if you go into the formula, what is the numerator term is asking about? Xi minus x bar. So we have to calculate what is xi minus x bar. Xi indicating every individual value of x, and x bar indicating what is the average of total x values. So we can see it will be this 14.2 minus this 18.7. So whatever the value you will be getting, that will be minus 4.5. Similarly, you have to do this value minus this x bar. Third value will be 11.9 minus this 18.7. Fourth value will be 15.2 minus 18.7. In similar fashion, we have to calculate entire this table or column. Similarly, we have to do the yi minus y bar. So instead of xi minus x bar, we are going to calculate yi minus y bar. So what is yi here? Y is nothing but the individual values of the y. So we can say these are the individual values of the y. And what is a y bar? Y bar is a total average of the y we have taken at the bottom of it. So every individual values will be in this column will be 215 minus 402. Next will be 325 minus 402. So similarly, we have to calculate this yi minus y bar. Now, this is the numerator terms we have completed, xi minus x bar, yi minus y bar. In the denominator, there is a square root of xi minus x bar square, bracket square, and yi minus y bar, bracket square, right? It is there. So we can just make the square of this first term. So that will be xi minus x bar, bracket square. So this will be square of this term, all terms you will be going to calculate. Then there will be the yi minus y bar. So it will be again square of these terms, yi minus y bar. And the last term, which is talking about what is the multiplication of this xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. So we can see which is the numerator term. So we can make the multiplication of these two factors. So we can make the multiplication of these two factors. So there will be the multiplication of this and this. So we will be getting a xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. So once you calculate all these xi minus x bar square, y minus y bar bracket square, and xi minus x bar into y minus y bar, so we have to sum all these terms at the bottom of the table. And you have to simply use these terms here, and you will be going to calculate this R as a 0.96. So if you understand in Excel, we can see that these are the all terms we have calculated, xi minus x bar. This is nothing but the difference between each of the individual value of x and x bar, individual value of y into y minus y bar. These are the two squares of the earlier columns, and this is the multiplication of first two columns, xi minus x bar, yi minus y bar. Now if you see the formula here, so we can see here there will be the xi minus x bar into y minus y bar, summation of that divided by square root of these terms, xi minus x bar bracket square and y minus y bar bracket square, right? So this is the formula if you are going to the details of calculation of it. But instead of that, if you are using Excel, so you can easily identify by using the correlation coefficient directly using this formula. If you go into the detail by using the formula again, you will be getting the same value. That's a 0.96, right? It's a 0.9575, and that will be the same value you will be getting here. Okay? We can say 0.96. Okay. Now if you see the practical application of it, practical application point of view, it is not required to remember this formula. You can directly go to the Excel and you can directly type this formula Corel, and you can find out the relationship between these two factors, right? Now let's understand how to draw the scatter plot in Excel. Like I am also going to explain in Minitab, but that will be the latter part. Let's understand how to draw the scatter plot in Excel. So we can see these are the two terms. So you can select, keep anywhere the cursor, and then go to the Insert tab, Insert, and there will be the scatter. Okay. So if you just select that, you will be getting these two factors. On we can see there is on x-axis there will be the temperature, and on y-axis there will be the sale, right? So this is the simplest way to draw the scatter plot in the Excel. It's a very simple, right? We have seen how to draw the scatter plot in Excel. It's a very simple, and at the same time how to find out the correlation between these two terms. To draw the scatter plot, we have to use the option Insert, and then with these graphical tools. In graphical tools, you have to select the scatter, and directly you will be getting the scatter plot. Right? It's very simple. Now let's go to the next concept.
Sir, one minute, sir.
Yes, Shivanand.
Sir, this is 0.96. We have got the value.
0.96, right?
Ah.
Yes.
Is there any minimum value to get before the executing of the chart?
Okay. So if the value is more than, let's say 50%, more than 0.5, okay.
Yeah, sir.
Let me explain you here. If this R value is more than, let's say, 0.5, okay, so we
Yes,
can
sir.
see some relation is present between the two variables. If
Yes,
it
sir.
is going to be increased, let's say 0.8, so we can see there is a very strong relationship is present between the two variables. Now, if R value is equal to 1, or we can say R is equal to 1, so we can see there is a perfect correlation or perfect relationship between the two variables. So there is a perfect increase in or decrease in the another factor once you change the first factor level. Okay. So for the very high correlation, we can say you must have the R value more than 0.8.
Yes, sir. For example, if I am going to plot the chart, if I came to know my values R value is 0.5, then I can demand more readings
Right.
from,
You may be
yeah,
required more readings, or you can say that there is a no relationship between. So
no
that's why there is a
relationship.
role of process knowledge. That's why there is a role of process knowledge comes into picture.
Yes, sir. Sir, there
Yeah.
is any possibility if the R values comes in negative, any possibility is there?
Yeah. Yeah. R can become positive as well as negative. It
Uh,
can in both way. So if there is
Both.
an increase in factor level of one factor, we can say we had seen here.
Yes, sir.
So
Negative
if it,
correlation.
yeah, if there is a negative correlation, the value will be negative.
Okay. And that
Okay.
can be find out before this one 0.96 how we have got the R value. That can be find out.
Uh-huh. Yes, that can be find out by using this formula, or you can use the simple Excel function. That's a Corel.
Yes, sir.
We had seen.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
Corel function, so we can use that and we can find out that.
Yeah, Corel
Okay.
function. Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now let's go to the. Before going to the next concept, let's understand. I know this is a very little bit tricky and technical concept which I am going to explain, but don't worry going to the much of detail of it. Just understand. If you are using the correlation coefficient, then we are going to check whether the relationship between the two terms is possible or available or not. And for that purpose, we are going to use this hypothesis testing. And what is that hypothesis testing? It's a very detailed analysis tool. We will see sometimes in later. But from the correlation and regression point of view, let's understand. We had seen R, and this is nothing but a correlation coefficient, which is indicating what kind of relationship between the two variables is exist. Whether it is statistically significant and non-zero at the given confidence level can be using the test of hypothesis test. So if you go for the hypothesis test, always there are two types of hypothesis tests present. Null hypothesis, so which indicates that you are saying that there is a no relationship between the two variables. So we are saying that null hypothesis is R equal to 0. What is indicating R is equal to 0? As the R value is increasing or coming to R is greater than 0 and approaching to 1, right? So we can say that there is a strong relationship between the variables. If the R value goes on reducing, then we can say there is a no relationship. So in this case, null hypothesis R is equal to 0. So we can say there is a no relationship between the variables, and alternative hypothesis will be R is not equal to 0. So we are going to prove that there is a relationship between the variables. So these are the just simple hypothesis tests we are using in the correlation coefficient. So if you are saying the correlation, if you are going to see the relationship between two variables, and in that case, if you are getting the p-value, which is less than 0.05, then we can say that there is a very strong relationship between the two variables is present. This is very important to understand the next concept, which is called as a regression. Now, we have seen coefficient of correlation coefficient that is indicated by R. Now, if you square that term, that's the square of the correlation coefficient, that is called as a coefficient of determination, and that is called as a R square. Now, there can be the question, we have already calculated the R, then what is the need to calculate the R square, right? We know what is the purpose of R. We want to identify what is the relationship between the two variables. Now, why there is a need to calculate another concept or another statistic, which is just square of the first statistics. Okay, so that we are going to see. R square is called as a coefficient of determination, and R square is always positive irrespective of sign of R. We are seeing R can be the positive as well as negative, but R square will be the square of this term, so it will be always positive, right? Now, what is the implication of it, or what is the meaning of it? For the perfect linear relationship, R square is equal to 1, and if there is no correlation, R square is equal to 0, right? So that is similar to the R. As we say, R is equal to 0, there is no relationship. R is equal to 1, there is a perfect relationship. Similarly, as R square is the square of this, so we can say there is a perfect linear relationship if R square is equal to 1, and there is no correlationship if R square is equal to 0. Now let's understand the meaning of R and R square. R square can be calculated by using this formula. So I think this is a very difficult formula at a first glance, but once you understand what is the regression and what is the regression line is indicating, then you will be easily understand this formula. It's a very simple formula. Now the numerator in this term, we can see it is indicating that difference between the two terms. The first term is called as any term which is indicating with a I, we can say that is an observed value. So whatever the observed value we are getting, and this second term which is indicated by the y cap, it is called as a predicted value, which are going to see it in detail. Don't worry about it. What is a observed value, what is a predicted value? Yi we have already seen it's a observed value, and y bar also we have seen it's a average value, average of all y's. Okay, so don't worry about the much of the details. We will go into the details with the example, so it will be clear. Now the numeric denominator term is the difference between each observed value and the average bar, right? Now, similar to the R, we can also calculate the R square by using this formula. So before that, let's understand what's the difference between this R and R square. In the earlier example of the temperature and ice cream sale, we had seen R is equal to 0.96. So if you make the square of this term, it will be coming as R square is equal to 0.9216. So what is the difference between this R and R square? How to interpret what is meant by R and what is meant by R square? Let's see. The temperature, if you look at the R square value, the temperature can explain 92.16% of the variation in the ice cream. So what much amount of percentage variation will be explained by the second term with respect to the first term, that will be indicated by this R square value. That means R square value for the temperature and ice cream sale example was 0.9216. So what is meant by that? Temperature can explain 92.16% of the variation in the ice cream sale. Now there will be the question, what will be the remaining 7.84%, right? So remaining 7.84% variation in the ice cream sale is not explained by the temperature. So there are different variables or different factors are available which will be explaining remaining 7.84% of the variation. So the factors can be the taste of the ice cream, price, or hygiene of that particular ice cream shop. So there will be the number of factors which will be indicating or which will maybe contributing to 7.84% of the variation in ice cream sale. Right? Now, in short, if you want to see strength and direction of the linear relationship between the two variables, we must consider R. Right? So only R is the factor or R is the statistic which will be indicating what kind of relationship is present, whether there is an increase in one factor, there is an increase in another factor, or there is a decrease in another factor. So for that purpose, we must require what is R, strength and direction of the linear relationship. If the proportion of explained variance should be presented, if you want to explain how much of variation in that factor will be explained by this factor, so for that purpose, we have to consider this R square value. Okay?
Sir, small question.
Yes.
Sir, now we have taken temperature as an input, sales as an output. Can we have one more input here? Can we have one more input?
Yeah, we can add here. Yeah, we can add.
So if we add one more input, now the
Uh-huh.
R square will R will get affected, no sir, actually, if you add.
See, I'm going to explain that in the regression slide. So when regression is there, I'm going to explain that in more detail. R square. Okay? Is it okay if I explain at that time?
Okay, okay, sir, okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Venkataja. I'm actually postponing those 2 times, so I'm feeling bad, but it is going to be, it is coming in the next slides. Okay?
No, no problem, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, we have seen what is a correlation and how to calculate that. So that will be calculated by using the formula Correl. Now, we are going to see what is a regression. Regression analysis is used to investigate and model the relationship between the response variable and one or more predictors. So if you want to see the relationship between the one or more factors, one or more predictors on the response, then we have to use the regression analysis. So in that case also we are perfectly identifying if there is a 1 unit change in the x variable, so what will be the total change which will be affecting or happening in the y. So that will where we will be going into the details. So let's see it. In regression analysis, there are multiple types are available. So there is generally 5 types of regression analysis are there. In generally, this is the most used type, or we can say in day-to-day life, we are using this ordinary least square regression. This is the most used and most practical type of regression analysis. So when to use this type of regression analysis, when our response variable is continuous. So what is meant by continuous? When your response you are going to measure in numbers of fractions, let's say 4.2, 5.3, 6.4, something like that. If you are able to measure your response in terms of fractions, then we can say your response variable is continuous. In only case if your response variable is continuous, then only you can use this ordinary least square regression, and you want to see the linear relationship in coefficients. The estimated equation is calculated by determining the equation that minimizes the sum of square distances between samples data. So minimizing sum of square distances, this is a very important term related to the regression. So we are going to see very small simulation related to that, because if I am going to explain by the theoretical values or by using the formula, so it will be really impossible to understand. But we are going to see with the help of simulation, so it will be very clear how to calculate and what is the meaning of minimizing the sum of square distances. So this equation, which is estimated by the regression analysis, that will be indicating what is the case when we will be having the lowest sum of square distances. The example which we had seen, temperature and ice cream sale in the correlation study, falls in this category of ordinary least square regression. This is the most common method of use of continuous variable response. Okay, so let's just go through fast to the remaining types of regression analysis. So second is a non-linear regression analysis. So if you are interested not only linear relationship between the variables, but you want to go into the much of detail, like many of the chemical industries, we want to identify what is the result of exact chemical reaction. So in that case, we are going to much of the detail, like linear equation is, we can say there is a 1 degree, right? Now if you want to go to the 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree or 6 degrees of equation, then polynomial equation, then in that case we have to use the nonlinear equation. Again, it will be having the limited use and it will be mainly used in the chemical industries. The third one is the orthogonal regression. This type of regression is used when the response and the predictor both are having the, you can say the marginal amount of errors. So there will be the error present in both the data content collected for the response as well as predicted. For example, if you want to check the equivalence of the instruments used in different chemical industries or different labs, then in that case we have to use orthogonal regression. Again, it will be having the limited application only in case of this laboratory case or the cases where predicted and response both will be having the measurement error. Fourth one is a partial least square regression. This is used when the number of factors which will be going to check relationship between them will be much higher compared to your observations. Let's say you are having the number of observations 10 and number of the factors you will be comparing, that will be 15. So number of factors you will be comparing that are too high compared to the number of observations you are having. So in that case, we are going to use the partial least square regression. This is mainly used in chemical, drug, food and plastic industries, and this is also having whatever the least square regression we had seen, it is also having use in developing the predictive models. So we can see we are going to identify what are their relationship between the multiple factors. So instead of checking impact of all these C and Q, we will be using any of these factors to identify what is the response, what is the factor on total response, what is the impact on total response. So that's why it is called a partial least square regression. And the last type is called as a logistic regression. Logistic regression is used when your response variable is categorical. So we are going to see, instead of continuous response, we are going to see categorical response. So in that case, we are going to use logistic regression. Again, there are 4 types of logistic regression are there: binary, ordinal, nominal, and Poisson. For example, if you want to, if you are interested in understanding the effect of smoking and weight on your resting pulse rate, so we can see resting pulse rate can be the high or low, right? So in that case, we are going to check your response variable is a categorical, and you want to check the impact of smoking and weight on this resting pulse rate. So in that case, we are using the logistic regression analysis. Now coming back to the practical part, the most used equation or most used the regression analysis is the ordinary least square regression. Now let's understand, if we are saying that logistic ordinary least square regression analysis, then we have talked about the smallest sum of squares. So what is meant by that? So let's understand with the help of example. So this is a x and this is a y, and let's take some points so which will be indicating this is a relationship between x and y. So we can put point this anywhere if you want. As you want, you can take the number of points, and just we want to check what is the relationship between these two variables, right? So we can put points anywhere if you want, or we can have some like these points. Okay, so let's say these are the points. Now to represent the best relationship between them, if I am going to use any line, let's say this is the line which I'm going to draw, and to identify what is the perfect relationship between them, right? So in this case also I need to take some intercept, so I can take this intercept here. Okay, so I can say this is a baseline. Okay, so which can be drawn by my perspective or my assumption or my imagination, so which will be going to exactly through the centers of these points, and we can say this is the line which will be explaining perfect relationship between these 2 points. But if I am going to draw the residuals, so what is the residuals? Residuals is nothing but what is the observed value which I already got, right? This is the value I have already got, but whatever the value indicated by this line, that is this called as a best fit line. Now this is indicating some value of this corresponding point, so this is called as a predicted value. So this is called as a predicted value, right? So this is the observed value which is indicated by the yellow dot, and corresponding to yellow dot there is a line which I have drawn and which will be indicating some point, some value, that is called as a predicted value. So whatever the difference between these 2 points is present, this is called as an error, right? I have observed value, I have a predicted value represented by this regression line, but this is drawn by myself, right? So this is just a perspective, but if you draw the best fit line, okay, so this is the best fit line. So how we are drawn this best fit line? By using the regression equation which we had seen. So we have to use that regression equation to identify what is the slope of this point, what is the slope of this line, and what is the intercept of this point. and after that we will be going to draw this line. Now if you see the error which will be available in this case, that will be lower compared to the error which is available with the line I have drawn, right? So we can see error for the point 1, we can say this much of error. Let's say for point 1 there is no error in the line I have drawn, but if you see the sum of the points which will be having huge error compared to this base fit line. So base fit line is indicating the smallest amount of error present, right? Let's understand in terms of area. If you see whatever the area which will be indicated, or the square of this error indicated by the blue line which has drawn by myself, and if you see the other area which is drawn by this base fit line. So we can easily see that with this base fit line, whatever the area which we are going to see, it is smaller compared to the area which I have drawn by the line by using my perception, right? So we can see base fit line is the line which will be identifying the smallest number of errors in the entire equation. So what is meant by smallest number of errors? So it will be indicating the perfect relationship between all the points, right? Let's remove the line which are drawn by myself. So this is the line, and if you want to identify the relationship between them, if you want to calculate R, so you can identify here. So that's indicated 0.74, right? So what is meant by the sum of this errors? So errors is nothing but the difference between this observed value and the predicted value. Now this predicted value will be the value which will be represented by the regression line, which will be calculated by using all these formulas. Okay. Now let's go back to the theoretical part. Is it clear? Sum of squares, what is meant by residuals and squared residuals? This is important when we are going to understand the regression. Okay. Now let's understand. I have shown you one simple demonstration. Now coming to the theoretical part of it. Now let's say this error 1, error 2, error 3 up to error n with the distances of each data point from the fitted straight line. So we can say this is the regression line which have come by our regression equation. Now what is the difference between these 2 points? So this is the predicted value. So this value is given by the regression equation, right? And this is the actual observed value which you have observed, right? So what is the difference between these 2 values? Observed value minus predicted value is called as the error. So this will be the error that is present with the regression line, right? This is the observed value and this is the predicted value, so this is the error. This is the observed value, this is the predicted value, so this is the error. This is the observed value y3, this is the predicted value, so this is the error. So similarly, there will be the error 1 and error 2. The base fit line is determined in such a way that any other straight line, the sum of squares will be more than that of the base fit straight line. So we had seen that what is the base fit line? Base fit line is the line which will be having the smallest sum of squares compared to any other line, right? So that is called as a regression line or base fit line. It is very important to understand base fit line, and that will be calculated. How to calculate that line we are going to see, but it is very important to understand what is meant by base fit line. Now let's go into the detail how to calculate this base fit line, right? We had seen what is the importance of that. The predicted value y, so any value which is on this regression line, or we can say how to calculate that value. So for that purpose we are going to use some formulas. Okay, so how to use that formula? This predicted value y cap will be equal to b0 plus b1 into x. Now what is the b0? B0 is the intercept, y-intercept at which this regression line is going to be intersect, right? So this will be the b0. And what is the b1? B1 is nothing but the slope of this line. We can say it's a tan of theta. So how to calculate the slope? Tan of theta. So if you know what is a b0 and we know what is a tan theta, or we can say b1, then we know where is the position of this exact line, base fit line, right? Now at any point of time, if you know the value of x, we will be able to calculate the value of y, right? And that is nothing but the regression. It's a theoretical part of regression. If you are saying that there is a regression, we are going to calculate the regression. then that means we are going to calculate the relationship between two variables. And how to calculate that? This is the method. Y cap is the predicted or estimated value of by a regression line, and you can use these formulas B1 and B0. Let's don't go into much of detail of this formula. If you want, we can simply calculate whatever the formulas we have, or in the way in which we have calculated for the scatter diagram. So similarly, you can do it in this case also. Now, if you want to calculate the observed value, then how to calculate this observed value? As you know how to calculate this predicted value. So if you add error to this predicted value, we will be getting the observed value, right? So what is this predicted value which will be calculated? That will be B0 plus B1x. So that's predicted value. If you add error to this value, you will be getting the observed value, right? So this is the way of calculation of individual values. Now let's, I think I have explained all the theoretical part of it. Now how to calculate the regression analysis in Minitab. So let's do it with the help of same example. So I'm going to explain to you how to calculate the regression analysis between these two variables. So I'm just removing this for time being. Okay. So this is our X, temperature, and this is our Y, that's ice cream sale. And you want to check what is the relationship between them, right? So how much increase in X or how much decrease in X, how will affect the Y, right? Now if you are going to use the Excel for the regression analysis, the very first thing that in the data tab, you must have this data analysis option available. If the data analysis option is not available in the Excel, how to do that? So for that purpose, there is a very simple procedure. You have to go to the file, then more, in options, there will be the option add-ins, and in add-ins you can see there is an analysis toolpath, right? So you can see analysis toolpath, this analysis toolpath, and you can see here go. You have to select here go. As you select the go, then this analysis toolpath will be going to here. If you want to have the analysis toolpath for Visual Basics, so we can add here also. If you want to add the solver, you can click the solver and you can select the go. So whatever you select, then this option will be coming to here. Now if you want to see the data analysis tab under your data analysis option under your data tab, then you have to use this analysis toolpath and you have to select this go. As you press this go, you have to click the OK. So we can see data analysis will be coming here. Okay. So this is the way. If the data analysis tab or data analysis option is not available under the tab data. Okay. Now as we are going to calculate what is the regression between them, go to the data analysis. Then we have to select the tool regression. So here is the regression, you can see. You have to select the regression and click OK. Now this window will be open. This window will be asking what is Y and what is X. So this is the drawback of the Excel. You can only identify the relationship between regression equation only for two variables. But if you go to the Minitab or advanced statistical softwares, you can have at the same time you can see the relationship between multiple variables. But as we are having the one X and one Y, Excel is sufficient. So how to do that? What is Y or Y? Y is our ice cream sale, so we can select here. So in this case, in analysis for easy point of view, if you want to select the title, you can select it. Okay, so this we have selected including title. Y. We have to select the X, that's the first variable, and click enter. Now we have a Y and we have a X range. As we have selected labels, so we have to check here. We have taken the labels into considerations. Now if you want to check whatever the values which you are calculating with the 95% confidence interval, so we can select here. Now whatever the output, so there are multiple options. If you want to take output on the same sheet, so we can select the output range and you can click anywhere in the sheet. Okay. If not, you can select the new worksheet plan. So whatever the result is there, you can get that result into the new worksheet. If you want new workbook, then you can select the new workbook. That entire output will be going to the new workbook. Now let's say we just have the new worksheet plan and have a line feed power to see how much relationship is present between them. Okay. Now click OK. Okay, so this is the regression line or regression equation we can see, right? So we can see there is, and x-axis there is a temperature, on y-axis there is a ice cream cell. So how much variation between the x and y? So we can see with the help of this. This yellow dot we can see it is a predicted ice cream cell, and blue is indicating actual ice cream cell. So we can see there is some differences there. And this predicted ice cream cell is nothing but indicating the lowest possible error available with this regression line, right? So if you want to see what is the equation there, so we can click any of the point, go to the right click, you can see add trend line, right? If you want to display R square equation and R square value there, so we can see there. So you will be seeing what is the relationship value, what is the equation. Similarly, if you go to the theoretical output of it, you can see here what is the intercept. It is given as minus 159.470. So that's a B0. So we can easily see here. So same value is coming here, minus 59.47. And what is this B1? So B1 you can see is a 30.088. So this indicates that there will be the 1 unit increase in the temperature, there will be the 30 units increase in the sale of the ice cream, right? So that's the indication of this. So this is the regression analysis. Now if you want to see, there is a very important value which I already told, that's a p-value. If this p-value is going to be less than 0.05, then we are going to say that there will be the significant relationship between them. Now we can see this temperature, I just convert it to the number. Okay, so you can see this p-value is 0.00000. So you can see it's less than 0.05. So it is indicating that there is a very strong relationship between temperature and ice cream cell is there. Or in other words, we can say there is a significant relationship between temperature and ice cream cell is there, right? So this is the way to conduct the regression analysis. Okay. Another is there is a significance CF value is there. If this significance CF value is less than the similar to the p-value, less than 0.05, so we can say this regression analysis or the regression, what are the terms we have used in the regression, that is a significant. So this regression is significant. So that's the indication of it. What is meant by the regression is significant means any of the term in the regression is contributing significantly into the change in Y or change in ice cream cell. So that's the meaning of it. We have to check the significance F value. At the same time, you have to see what is the respective p values for the factors. Okay, so this is the regression analysis. Now the last part, if you want to do it in Minitab, so how to do that? So in Minitab, you have to enter this data similar to here, and if you want to calculate the correlation between them, you have to use this stat, basic statistics, and correlation option is there. So if you select this correlation option, and if you select what are the variables for which you are going to see the relationship, so you have to select these two variables, temperature and ice cream cell, and here you have to select the Pearson correlation, so which is generally used to calculate the correlation between two variables or multiple variables, and you can select the OK. Okay, so whatever the point or the output you will be getting, that is again same. So whatever the value you will be getting, that's it, 0.958. Okay, so again it is a 0.96 value, and if you see the p-value which is given by the Minitab, that's a 0.000, which is indicated that there is a significant relationship between two variables is there. Similar to that, if you want to do the regression in Minitab, we have to do that stack, regression, fit regression model. Here, what is the y? We are having the ice cream cell as a y, and what is the predictor? Temperature. Now, if you are having the another predictors like categorical predictor, so that is the benefit of Minitab. If we are having the multiple predictors, so we can add here multiple predictors also. And if you are having any categorical predictor, you can also add here, right? So at this point of time, just we are having the one predictor, so we can add here temperature in degree Celsius. So if you click the OK, we will be getting the same result here. Okay, so it will be indicating that p-value for the regression model is 0.000, which is indicating that the regression is significant. And again, if you see the regression equation, it will be again same. It is indicating that minus 159.5, it's a similar B0, and 30.09, that's a similar B1, which we will be getting. So whether you do this analysis by using the formulas, by using the Excel, or by using the Minitab, you will be getting the same result, right? Now here, there will be the three different values we will be getting, right? There will be the R square predicted, and R square adjusted. So these are the three values which will be coming into the regression analysis, and that is the most important part from the regression analysis. So let me explain you what is meant by that. I think I will directly go to the examples because it's out of time. So this is the example. Let's say we are having the first model, and in this we are just going to compare the response is a crumbled potato percentage, and we need to compare with the percentage of Pareto. And if we add that, we can see what is R square value, that will be coming a 52%. So we can see that there will be the percentage in crumbled Pareto that will be explained by this percentage potato, that will be the 52%. And you can say adjusted R square is also 51%, right? So these two values are similar to each other. So we can see at this point of time, R square values are same, right? But as we add another term to this model, the second term model, we add cooling rate. This is the second term which we have added into this model. Now, as we added this second term to the model, you can see there is an increase in the R square. So that will be increasing to 63%. So what is the R square is increasing? How much of variation in your Y that will be explained by all your X's, right? So that will be indicated by this R square value. As we are going to add multiple variables, multiple factors, irrespective of whether it is impacting Y or not, this R square value is going to be increased. But adjusted R square also increases, which indicates that cooling rate improves the model, right? So now it is improved from 51 to 62%, right? It is increased. Now if you add your third term to this model, let's say cooking temperature. So as we add the term to this model, this R square is going to be increased from 63 to 65%. But if you see the adjusted R square, it won't increase. It will be remain at 62%, right? So what is meant by R square? R square is indicating that if you add any term to this model, your regression model, your R square value is going to be increased. So it is just meaning that how much of variation in your Y that will be explained by the X, right? But adjusted R square is indicating that how much of true factors, how much of factors available in your model that only impact your response significantly, right? If the cooking temperature is not impacting your output, then it is showing that after adding this term to this model, it is not increasing, right? So you have to consider adjusted R square value, as it is indicating that whether the cooking temperature added to this model, whether it improved your model or not. As this is not increasing your adjusted R square, simply you have to remove this cooking temperature from your model because it is not impacting your regression model or your response. These results indicate that cooking temperature does not improve the model, Based on the results, you can consider removing cooking temperature from the model. So we can remove this cooking temperature from your model. So that's the point. And the third term is that, which we have to see, that's a predicted R square value. Okay. So if you go to our model, okay, so we'll be having temperature range, let's say from 11.9 to highest is 25.1. Okay, so we'll be having temperature range from 11.9 to 25.1. If you are having our temperature range, day temperature between these two values, then only our regression equation we can use. If you are having temperature 10 degrees Celsius or we are having 26 degrees Celsius, then whether we can use this model for that prediction or not, so that will be indicated by the R square predicted. So if the R square predicted value is less than 80%, then we cannot use your regression equation outside of these limits or outside of these observations which have conducted into this experiment, right? So if you see R square predicted is 88.15%, so we can use our regression model beyond these limits also. So we can use to predict the less than 11.9 also or more than 25.1 also. That's the meaning of R square predicted.
What should be the minimum difference between R square adjusted and R square value?
See, ideally they should be having the equal value. They should have equal value. Means you can see R square adjusted and R square predicted. Okay, so ideally they should be have equal value. So if all these three values are very close to each other, then you can say your regression model is perfect. So this is indicating that you have covered maximum number of variables, that is explaining variation into Y. This is indicating that you have included that variables which actually impacting your Y. And R square predicted is indicating that whatever the term you have included in your model that are so accurate that you can use this model for the prediction purpose as well. So when you conduct the regression analysis, please have the look at all these three values. Okay, let's say if you are having a very strong R square and R square predicted adjusted, let's say you are having the R square as 89%, R square adjusted as, let's say, 85%. Okay, and in some cases you can say R square predicted as only 5%. You can have, in practical scenario, you can come to such situations. So in that case, you cannot use that model for prediction. You can use that model between the range of readings which you have taken, but you cannot use that model for the prediction. Okay. One of the most important use of this regression analysis, that you can use this regression equation for the prediction, right? So that's the we have to identify the relationship between two variables. At the same time, if you know the value of x, we will be able to work what will be the value of y. We must know, or we must be able to identify what will be the corresponding value of y. So that's the intent of regression analysis. And if your R square predicted is too low, then it is indicating that whatever the factors you have conducted in study, either that is not cover the proper range. Any other questions?
In that regression of this regression output, those SS and MS, can you explain that significance of that?
Which one?
The output which you have got from Excel, not this one, in the Excel sheet. SS and MS. That Excel output in that, I just want about this SS and MS and DF. Their significance. What is the significance of these three outputs in ANOVA table?
Which one? This one?
Yes, this one, DF and MS.
So this DF is nothing but the degrees of freedom. So I have not covered this because its time already passed. We have put to 1 hour and some more than 1 hour and 50 minutes. So that's why I'm not going to the detail. And maybe sometime later we can see that because it's already time has gone. Okay.
Okay, sir.
It is actually, I will tell you in very short. So what is this indicating? This is indicating sum of squares. So it is indicating sum of squares due to regression, sum of squares due to error, and total sum of squares. And this is indicating degrees of freedom available for the regression model. So degrees of freedom is talking about how many models are there in the regression. Let's say you are having two models, temperature and ice cream sale. So degrees of freedom will be 2 minus 1, that will be 1. And total degrees of freedom is equal to how many number of readings we are having in the model, minus 1. So as we are having the 12 readings, so it will be 12 minus 1, that will be equal to 11. And the number of degrees of freedom for the error term, so it will be available to, which is equal to total number of total degrees of freedom minus number of degrees of freedom available for the regression. So the subtraction of these two will be the number of degrees of freedom available for the error term. And if you divide this SS by DF, then we will be getting this MS, this mean of squares. Mean of squares due to regression, mean of squares due to error. And if you divide this mean of squares due to regression by mean of squares due to error, we will be getting the F value. And then we are going to calculate or compare this F value with the critical value. And if there is a significance difference is there, then we will be getting to the F significance value. That's the regression ANOVA table. So that's ANOVA is very detailed tool again. So I think we can discuss sometime later. Okay. But I think from this session you have got idea about what is a correlation, what is a scatter diagram, and what is a regression, right? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was too much to deliver, but due to time constraint, I was not able to deliver that.
So, sir, one more doubt, sir. In practical,
Yes.
every time we have to check whether R square adjusted is adjusting or not. We have to check every time, no? If it is going in practical.
Every time. Yes. Practically.
Yeah, every time.
In practical application. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Right.
So to improve the quality, we have to
multiple. Right. To avoid the trial and error and all that, or to reduce your efforts, if you can engage your process expert or subject matter expert related to that process or product, then the time will be reduced significantly.
Yeah. But anyhow, the statistical values and all will be depending upon the calculation, I think so.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Will you be sharing PPT?
PPT I am not sharing. I am sharing this video file for this. So this entire recording, this entire session is having a recording. So I am sharing this recording file to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Regarding this Lean Six Sigma, how much is the course duration for this?
Actually, it was there in the presentation, but as time was over, so just, okay, as you ask, I will cover very shortly. Because as the time has covered, so I didn't go into that details. Let me explain to you. So, this is the courses we are having, Lean Six Sigma, Green and Black Belt. And in Green Belt, we are providing the highest duration, that's a 60 plus hours, weekend trainings. Of course, it is totally depending on the number of participants. So we can, if we are feeling that some more duration is required, so we are increasing to that also. And Black Belt, we are providing 120 plus hours of training. And we are more focusing on, like some of the tools are there, like correlation, regression, ANOVA. So in that case, we are going into the theoretical part because it is very much important. But in other tools, we are focusing more on the practical thing. So we are believing in less theoretical calculation, more practical implementation. So that's our tagline. We are focusing on that. So once you have this training, you will be 100% capable to have a practical execution of this into your practical life. So that's our main intent. And these are the multiple support we are providing. We are providing with a lifetime support for the Six Sigma question and answer, as well as project support and everything. we can see 100% guidance in practical execution. We are having most practical body of knowledge, so which will be having aligned with the ASQ, American Society for Quality, International Association of Six Sigma certifications, and it is actually more than that. So if you compare these two certifications, we are having the content which is more practical and more compared to all of these two organizations. We are having weekly assignment as well as we are having practical case studies to use, so that every week we have to complete and you have to submit to us. Also, you will be having 100 plus videos of easy access, which is free of cost. We are also providing very detailed training on the Minitab along with digital notes in Minitab, so which no one is providing. So there are too much details are there. We are using the WebEx, like these sessions we are conducting all the sessions, and end of the sessions the total recording file will be submitted to you. So we can go for that notes, we can go through the recording file, and if you are having any questions, we are having dedicated session on every Friday. So in that case, you can have a number of questions, number of your queries. So that can be your theoretical curriculum or the theoretical part, or can be the practical application, or can be your project perspective. So if you are going for the green belt or black belt project, if you are having any difficulty, so we can also providing support in there. So that's we are doing. There are multiple things are there. Then also it is not like that, means if you are attended the green belt or black belt training this time, so it is over. So for the next 6 months, whenever there is a green belt or black belt training is there, you can attend it free of cost. So let's say you are gone for this green belt training this time. So next 6 months, how many batches are coming? So you can attend every session for the green belt batches without any extra cost. If you are going for the black belt after that, so only difference between the green belt and black belt you need to pay. You need not to pay for the entire black belt. So that are the various things we are providing. Then there will be the, this I have already explained. And we are using more practical applications, means practical scenarios, so that you can understand. Like in regression, we have seen, we have shown you the simple demonstration, what is meant by the best fit line. So if you explain it theoretically, it will take too much of time. Like if you are going to understand capability, so what is meant by CP and what is CPK, and if you want to improve the CP and CPK, what are the things and what are the course of actions we need to do. So that everything we are going to explain with the help of some simulations or some animations, so it will be very easy to understand. Financial perspective, though we are the best in the quality in the world, we are having the lowest cost, and there is also without no hidden charges. We are having inclusive of 80% GST, so it is not like that this is a cost and after that there will be the 80% GST. No, everything will be included the cost. We are having online mock test, it's a free of cost. Main examination free of cost. So if you go for each of these costs, it is costing around 2,500 each of this test, but it is free of cost. We are providing a project guidance, special weekly Q&A sessions, lifetime free guidance by creating common platform like WhatsApp group. So that will be available for you lifetime to have a question and answer session. No extra certification cost except other organizations. So if you are going for ASQ or ISSC, if you want to go, we can also provide it 100% support, but certification fee for them you have to pay. We cannot support in that because the certification fee is itself 30,000, 35,000, 40,000 is like that. It is like that, and you can also pay the fees in the installment. So that is also option available with us because we believe that this learning should not be hampered due to your fees or financials. And still, if you have a doubt, so what we are doing, whatever the first session of every green belt and black belt training is there, so which will be available to you free of cost. So you can attend that day one session free of cost. If you like it, then you can go for the enrollment of complete course like green belt or black belt. And if you don't like it, don't worry, because you need not to pay anything and you can skip the entire learning process. So that's the services or support we are providing to you. We are charging for the green belt around 15,200 something, and for the black belt 32,500 at this point of time, and that is inclusive of everything. mock test, certification, examination, training content, everything. That will be including everything. GST, that is including with GST. Okay, any other questions?
For certification, we have to pay to someone else, like you are there for only
No, no,
support.
no. For
We will get
if you want to
certification.
go, if you want to go for certification by Learn and Apply, so you have to go for the test. I think due to time constraint, it is little bit hurry for me. So we'll be having these questions that you will be having the first mock test. So that will be the 100 question for the green belt and 150 questions for the black belt. So that will be the mock test free of cost. So if you pass this test, then you will be, you can say this is just practice test. And after that, there will be the final examination, and that will be having the same nature. So we can see there will be the 100 questions and 150 questions. And if you are scoring more than 60%, then we are issuing with the Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and Black Belt certifications. If you want to go for the other institutes like American Society for Quality, ASQ, then in that case we can provide you the support. But examination fee and everything you need to pay.
What are the major benefit of doing this Six Sigma Green Belt, Black Belt?
This is basically giving you the logical and analytical thinking. So you can say when you go through this approach, it is forcing you to collect data, to think logically, to think analytically, to collect the data, do the analysis. So at the end of this course, complete course, your logical and analytical thinking will be growing. So what is mean that your practical thinking will be going to be improved. So that will be improve your confidence as well as self-esteem. And if you see from your career point of view, if you are having the Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and Black Belt certification, so it is giving an indication like that you are having some expertise, you are having some extra knowledge, or you can having some tool or technology, and that is can be applicable to everywhere. So that is added advantage to your career also. If you are having that certifications, then you will be having like some more chances of promotions to the managerial positions. This is a very important certifications, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and Black Belt.
So this Lean Six Sigma certification will be provided by Learn and Apply. So with that
we can provide that.
With that certification also, it will be accepted in all industries, not to go for ASQ.
Yes, right.
And all, no?
ASQ, like ASQ is the, we can say, the number one in the world, ASQ. So if you go for the ASQ certification, then obviously weightage of that ASQ is very high compared to the Learn and Apply at this point of time.
Learn and, yeah, exactly. But no,
Yes.
what I'm asking, if Learn and Apply certification, if we take also, that will be useful throughout the Indian industries.
Yes.
I have one more question, though it might not be relevant, maybe. KPMG is also doing this.
Yes. KPMG also there. There are too many players are there, like
registered, there is some registration for this, like all who are given this certification. Anybody can give
for
like
KPMG.
that. No, for you
For
and also
KPMG.
KPMG for, yes.
No, actually we are certified members. So you can see we are certified from the ASQ, and we are having live certifications. So we can conduct the trainings and we can issue the certifications. So in our case, myself and my colleague is there, Yogesh. He is also the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, certified by ASQ.
Our course is this self-paced, or it will be like online class kind of thing, or it will be self-paced?
No, it will be
And how many hours,
like,
like on weekends, like how many hours we have to dedicate for, maybe on weekends when the regular classes will go on?
we generally planning 4 to 5 hours depending on the because the topic. If it is like it is too heavy topic and people are saying that it is too heavy, we want to stop. So on that particular day it will be reducing, but it will be 4 to 5 hours. typically on Saturday and Sunday. See, we are not bothered about increasing the number of classes. Let's say we are saying that there will be 10 days, right? That there will be 10 days or 16 days. And if the, let's say the pace of our learning, your learning is lower, let's say. So in that case, if you require 2 or 3 more sessions, then we are happy. So we can provide the 2 or 3 more sessions in there. That's not an issue. Your understanding is very important for us. So we are not just covering the syllabus. We want you to learn. So syllabus time is, we can say it's a very much flexible. So it's not like that 10 days with 10 days and it will be finished within 10 days. Not like that. So depending on the number of topics we are covering and to the depth we are going, because we are also covering too much of practical situations, practical questions also. So we are not stopping that like the 2 or 3 questions and just we are going ahead. No. If there are 100 questions, we can discuss 100 questions and then we can move ahead. So many times it is like that we are planning to complete the 2 chapters a day, for example, in one of the day. But it is ended up one single chapter on that day. So that is happening many times. Thank you so much for your valuable time, because I have planned 6:30 to 7:38 already. Thank you so much for your patience. And I'm sharing this recording file on the YouTube, so you can see it. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Please take care.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.